Can you say when it starts?
Yeah, do you want to admit to people now or?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay. Leo. Hello, everyone. We're just letting everyone into the Zoom now. Good to see everyone. A lot of people. Very cool. As always, if you don't mind just keeping muted for now, I will be asking questions of the audience soon. So, when that comes, of course, feel free to talk. But for now, as we get settled in, welcome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. As always, hello, people. Okay, I think that's just about everyone. We're a few minutes after 10:30 here. Well, at least over here on the East Coast in the US. I know we're all over the world today. So, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and start then. I see we have quite a full stream, full Zoom, tons of people. Welcome. Hello, everyone. Welcome so much to the discussion stream of our October International Code Jam. So my name is William Chute. I'm a graduate here of the the web dev program. I'm a web developer myself, JavaScript developer in particular, and I'm a practicum sprint master here. So some of you have already seen my face quite a bit over the last week. So thank you for coming in. And I'm happy to host yet another awesome event. So today we're talking with our participants and as well as our judges to listen to some feedback and kind of hear how the whole sort of experiment went. And we're going to also announce the winners towards the end of the stream. So to everyone watching and joining me here on the Zoom, welcome. Thank you for being here. So I'm going to actually just start off. We have plenty of people. I'm just looking through the Zoom, plenty of people here. So if you are a participant on any team or anything, feel free to answer some of these questions. I'm going to start with the most broad sort of general question, which is, how would you describe your Code Jam experience in one word? Does anyone have any words to contribute? Anything to say? And feel free to unmute yourself, of course, first, if you have anything. Exciting. Oh, that's a good one. Exciting. Thank you. Appreciate that. Stressful. Yeah, that's also very understandable. Definitely. I have
collaboration.
Some here. Sorry, what was that? Collaboration?
Collaboration and teamwork. So amazing. 2 words actually, but it was a great experience of working together with the team.
Very good. Awesome. I also have here, let's see. We have this job or this Code Jam Miro here, and yeah, same thing. Teamwork, impressive, awesome. These are all good, positive words. So, well, not easy as expected. Not one word, but definitely one feeling for sure. I know we can all relate to. So, awesome. Well, thank you for the warm-up question. Let's go to something that's a little more opinionated. What is one thing that you learned over the course of the Code Jam? Did anyone learn anything interesting about either themselves or coding or developing? Anything? Nothing? It's okay. We have the Miro too, but I know some people are shy. It's okay. So let me see here. So the mirror, a lot of people said, my favorite one here is that Git is not that scary, which is definitely something we all need to be comfortable with at some point. So it's good to see that some people are conquering their fears. Firefox dev tools are better than Chrome's. That's interesting. I'm a huge fan of Chrome dev tools, but I know Firefox is a really awesome browser. So I actually might look into their dev tools and see what this person's talking about. Some people said creating services is not difficult. I think that's relative, but if you find it not difficult, that's awesome. Sounds like you're in the right field then. So really good.
It was me actually.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I meant that thanks for brainstorming and for different opinions of the guys from the team, from the girls from the team. It seems that it's more difficult to work it out and make the final product, but in general, creating something new it's not so difficult. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's definitely a very good experience, and yeah, we're glad to hear that. Moving on to the next question. So what would you now do differently as a result if you were to do this again, maybe in a few weeks or next month or something? What would you do differently? Does anyone have any opinions on this question?
I would do less.
Less. Is that Menashe speaking?
Yeah, it's me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I understand. That's a very good point. Is sort of pacing and scale is, when you have a tight deadline, do you go for ambition, try to do everything, or you go for something simpler and try to flesh it out as much as possible? Definitely a very important lesson to learn that is very applicable just as much in the real world. I see here someone saying try to build much more mini projects, which is great. It's actually not too hard to build a mostly functional and pretty good looking mini project. And it's one of the best ways as web developers or designers that we can improve our skills. I think when I was starting development and getting into software and coding, one of the most interesting things one of the most true things I heard is that when you're working on a project or developing an application or making a website, you have the first 80% of it, and then you have the second 80% of it, right? So when you think you're 80% done, it looks good, it's mostly functional, you have all this stuff done, and then you go on to try to finish it, and you realize it takes just as much work to do the second half, right? So anyway, in that mindset though, it's pretty easy, to throw in a few days or a few weeks to throw together a mostly functional, great looking website. Just like we saw over the last week, you were able to create really cool, interesting projects with just 4 or 5 days. So awesome. Another thing is prioritize sleep. Yeah, I would highly recommend sleeping. Yeah, exactly. It is it can improve your productivity if you're just well rested. So yeah, please do not skip out on sleep. Let's see. Another thing is include other team members more collaboratively. So split up work in a more productive way. And this is also very important in the real world too, is we like to play to our strengths. And if the more organized we can be from a high level, sort of the more we can get done. Whereas if people have overlapping work or they're waiting for another teammate to deliver something, it can really slow down the process. So yeah, the more independent and the more we play to our strengths, the more we can do as a team. So awesome, very insightful. And then number 4, share a fun fact or story about your team. Do we have anyone brave enough to share a fun fact on the stream? Okay, it's okay. I know it's a random question. Let's see what we got here. So my my developers work so hard they didn't have time to take a shower, which once again, guys, sleep and personal hygiene should be like pretty high up. But okay, props, I suppose, in one way or another. Um, so let's see, we send each other COVID jokes and memes. Memes always help. It's great to keep a light, positive attitude. And we decided to finish the project and put it into our portfolios. It's awesome. That's a great success story. Like that's exactly what I want to hear. So, and also working together on further products. That's really, really cool. So definitely a very good happy ending to that story. Okay, so that's just a few opening general questions just to kind of parse out what happened over the last week. So next we have our judges. So we have judges with us on the stream today, including myself. I'm also a judge. So, but we're going to talk to the rest of them as well. Let's see. I'm going to open up this Miro board here for the judges. Similar sort of deal. Let's see here. Okay, great. And on the stream, do we have Alyssa?
Yes, you do. Hi, everyone.
Great. Hi.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all live, not just your recordings and presentations. There are a few judges here today. It's me, Daniela, and Andrei. There were more of us judging your work, but you'll hear from the three of us. And I'm going to start if I may. So here at Practicum, I am a learning experience designer and motivation and soft skills designer. So I was among the people who developed the recommendations for your presentations, and I was one of the two judges who was evaluating your presentations. So today I wanted to talk briefly about that. There are two main things that I wanted to focus on. I wanted to talk about the way you can use your experience here in your job search. And I wanted to give some reflections and suggestions as to how you could improve your presentations in the future or what you could try out. So first of all, about the job search. I think probably most of you, as you are gaining new skills in your respective professions, web development or design, you want to find a new job or you want to change your job. And it's, I want to make sure that you understand how valuable the experience that you just had in the code jam can be in this process. And I want to encourage you to take some time, similar to what we did just now with this couple of questions, but take some time after this call today and jot down some notes as to what was the experience that you went through, what were the challenges that you faced, what went well, what didn't go well, what was the process that you followed with your team, how was it collaborating in an international team, because I'm sure for many of you that was maybe the first time trying something like this out. And why is it important? When you get to the stage of job interviews, you are often asked, what are the challenges that you faced? And this is one of the things that you can use your experience in the code jam. And if you remember things well, if you write them down now or have some kind of reference, you can make sure that the way you speak about it is more clear and illustrative for the person who is listening to it. So I really, really strongly encourage you to take some time and think about it and jot it down to reference in the future. And speaking of clear presentations, let's get to them. I think you all done amazing jobs, both in doing your projects in such a short time and also presenting them. But there are a couple of things that I wanted to highlight based on all the presentations that I saw. So first thing, structure. Please remember that any good presentation has a clear structure. It has an introduction, it has the main part, and it has a conclusion. Most of the team did not have any conclusion. So I really, really strongly encourage you in the future to think about at least a couple of lines that would finish your presentation and not leave it in the middle of showing a certain feature or answering someone's question. Conclusion is your opportunity to finish the presentation making sure that you communicated the main points through to your audience. And this is the last thing that people hear. So very often that's the last thing that people remember. So structure in general and conclusion in particular. Kind of going back to the beginnings, introductions and main parts. Most of you had a great introduction and you proceeded to the main part. And one of the things that is very cool to start with, especially when you are presenting a problem that you're resolving or a project, is what was the reason for it? What was the need? What was the problem that you were trying to solve? And then describing how you came up with the idea. Maybe it was your research that you've done, maybe it was something else, and then proceeding to the main features that are unique for your solution that help resolve this problem. And I think a lot of presentations did a great job in this aspect. Just kind of remember that problem is always the core that explains why you were doing whatever you were doing in the first place. And another tip here is using a user. I think some of the team done that very, very successfully, presenting your design or your solution from the perspective of the user who would be using that product. And instead of showing a certain feature or saying, okay, here we have a search, you can imagine and describe a situation in which a user would be using that search. And it always helps the audience better understand what it is that you are doing and how it works. And finally, a couple of Zoom related tips, since now most of the presentations that we're doing are conducted on Zoom. I think one of the most often used phrase these days is, let me share my screen. So I encourage you to be original and potentially not even saying that and starting sharing your screen while saying something else. And rehearsing, especially if you're doing a presentation as a team, it's always great to rehearse in any case, even if you're doing it alone. And secondly, it's always great to coordinate. So if there are more than one person presenting, it's always a good idea that one person shares the screen. It saves you some time when you pass on the screen share and you don't interrupt the storyline, and it just makes it a little bit easier for the audience to follow through what you're trying to share. Okay, so basically to sum this up, I want to make sure that you do use this experience as something you can talk through in your future interviews and have an opportunity to reflect on it one of these days. And secondly, next time you will be presenting, remember about the structure. Do not forget about conclusions. If you have a problem to start with it. And if you have a user, remember to use a user illustration. And whenever possible, rehearse and coordinate any presentation that you are doing. But overall, you've done an amazing job. And I hope you have fun with the rest of your programs.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alyssa. That was really good advice and very applicable. So, and also very well said. You even kept to your own structure with a great intro, all the material, and a nice conclusion. So very good, very high level. So thank you. Next, we have Andre. Andre was one of our web development judges. Are you here, my friend?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Andre. I'm feedback manager and tech editor at Practicum. And yeah, I've been part of the web development jury on this October Code Jam with Will and also Stas. And it was a great pleasure for us to explore and evaluate your projects. And I must say that every project is worthwhile and should be part of your portfolio. It's a great example of teamwork. And I just want to say a couple of words about the projects you did. Some participants who are only at the beginning of the web development journey decided to focus only on HTML and CSS, but they already showed a great level of expertise in writing markup. And just imagine, you know the basics, one of the mythologies, but you already can contribute to potential big projects and make amazing things with the power of only CSS. This is so great. Like in some projects, we saw animations and really cool interactive stuff made just with only HTML and CSS. I also want to know the projects where developers used APIs and external libraries to expand functionality or just satisfy design ideas. And there was a lot of cool stuff you did by using these libraries. We saw maps, chatbots, players, and a lot more. And this is actually a very important skill for a front-end developer to connect and work with APIs and use them to satisfy the project goals. Some teams made a really good job with finding the right APIs and connect them to their projects. And also some teams even go beyond JavaScript, and some teams used other technologies and frameworks, such as Python and Django. Someone tried to test the machine learning algorithm. And this is also appreciated, especially when you know what tool and technology serve better for your goal. And it's very cool that you have these opportunities to test and try new technologies. And yeah, you all did an amazing job. And we really want you to polish the projects that you completed during the code jam and put them to your portfolio, because some of them are real like startup ideas, and who knows, maybe you can sell them someday. So yeah, and just a piece of advice, don't hesitate to take part in more opportunities at Practicum or beyond, because code jams and hackathons, they're not only about a challenge, but they also about fun and a new way to learn new things, especially in a team of new people who are also seeking for new opportunities. So yeah, thank you a lot.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Andre. Really appreciate it. And definitely very good advice for our web dev students out there. So next we have Danila. He is more of a design judge and a designer himself. Danila, are you here?
Yeah, hello everyone. So I'm the designer of the students project at Practicum actually, and I want to thank all of you for your amazing projects. I would say that in a week's time, that's a really good result. That in a week's time, some professional teams probably would not achieve as much results as you did. So that's really encouraging, I guess. And I want to say that for the designers that are here, it's maybe a first real world experience of working with web developers. And actually, you have probably understood that it is really important to be able to show and present your work to the developers actually. And there are some really good tools to do this. And first of all, communication is really important, of course. You have to speak to your team of developers. You have to make sure that they understand what you want from them and that you understand what they're doing, kind of. And some of the teams like VB Jamming did a really nice visualization with the arrows on which show which button leads to what place. And this is actually a really nice tool to show the developer what needs to happen without even having like a Zoom call. But of course, do not skip the Zoom calls, they're still important. The next thing I wanted to mention here is that if the research is mentioned as part of the project, or if it's not, don't take it as a to-do task that you have to close and move on next. It is always an important part of the design process, the research, because if you do it not for just doing it as a to-do task, but really take it seriously and want to have some value from it for yourself, you have to really ask the questions. And if you find answers to these questions, your project instantaneously gets better, I guess. And the same can be said about references for design, because for designers, references are extremely important, I think. And you have to look a lot through visual information, through websites, through web applications, try to understand how they're made, how people use them, and what tools people who created these designs used, and how they approach their design process. I think it will help you in your future work a lot, and it will help you creating the work in a quicker way, or not even in a quicker, but sometimes in a more qualitative way. And the last thing I would say is that doing pet projects or participating in hackathons, as Andrei mentioned, is a fun way to learn something new, to get important experience quicker, I guess. So do that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dylan. Some really good advice as well. And I really appreciate all of the judges for your very insightful and thoughtful comments. Just to add to those as well, I went through the projects as well last week. A lot of projects and a lot of grading to do. So I think our students will get feedback in terms of how we graded the projects. But in addition to that, going through all the projects, I was able to formulate my own opinions and thoughts and ideas on each one. And if any students out there plan on continuing their project or just sort of adding to it or making it more finely tuned or just trying to turn it into a more complete project, I would highly recommend that for just about every single person who participated here. And if anyone needs any advice or insight or direction on where to go next or anything they can improve on their application, feel free, reach out to me on Slack, and I would be happy to Zoom with you for just a few minutes and just show you, what I thought of your project and where I think you can go very quickly and very easily, and how you can improve it and use it as a portfolio highlight, especially for showing to employers. And then lastly, everyone had to make a README, of course, for your project, and all projects have a README. It's the first thing people will see when they go to your project's GitHub. And that's actually how a lot of people will access it, is go to your GitHub and then click the link in your README. So I would recommend for everyone, your README should have a link to your project right at the top, right at the beginning, very obvious, very bold, and almost obnoxious, where you just open the README and it's the first thing. Click here to see, right? Because that's what a lot of recruiters and hiring managers and employers want to see, is they just want to see it as soon as possible. They look at it, they're like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then they'll go back and look into the code. Then they'll go back and read the README and see what technology you used. But having a very prominent link to the project, I've noted that in almost everyone's feedback, is just make it even more obvious. So that is my takeaways from the grading portion. So next, we're almost to announcing the results, but just have to ask, while we have everyone here on stream, we have so many participants, coders, developers, and designers. So we would love to ask you just a few more questions, and we really appreciate any feedback we can get. So I have some questions here. I'm just going to go through them, and if you have something to say, go ahead, shout it out. But if not, I'm going to have to start pull out the old teacher trick, and I will start calling on people. I know a few of you, and I've talked to you before, so I'm not afraid to call you out and ask for some sort of response. So first off, what skills have you learned over the past few months with the practicum program that were most useful in the code jam?
Will, I'll jump in there.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think reading documentation. I think it's like learning new things, taking risks, jumping into new ideas is especially useful when you have a limited amount of time. And, clicking on a new technology and being able to understand it within 20 minutes and use it in a totally new project is a pretty cool skill to have that I learned at practicum.
Awesome. Yeah, no, makes a ton of sense, especially when working with external libraries or APIs. If you want to incorporate it, yeah, you have to go through documentation and see how it works, and then just sort of work from there. So great point. Thank you, Jake. And then I think I see, let's see, Tanya, are you here? Do you have anything to say for that question? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. I was a team coordinator, so it was hard to coordinate our team because one of my team member was in Scotland and one was in Russia. And I am in California, so big time difference between us. What was I offered to use React. React, and my team member Sarah, she is only on her third project at practicum, and she doesn't know about React, and it was a great job for her to learn about the new framework. I think she did a great job. Yeah, it was new for her. I don't know what was new for me. To be a team coordinator, it was a big deal for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know particularly as a sprint master, teaching other people material is sort of the best way to reinforce your own knowledge or to make sure you actually know it. So yeah, to have to teach a newer student even just how to use React a little bit for this project, I bet that's very useful. So, and then I see in the comments, Menashe says he learned how to code, which is very specific. Thank you for that. But seriously, he's right though. We spend all this time focusing so much on HTML and CSS, and then really most of the program is JavaScript, right? And we do want to be an expert in JavaScript and an expert in one language in particular. But once you learn one language, it is so much easier to learn another programming language. For example, Menashe, I know, used Python a lot, and it's very easy. All of the ideas transfer over to almost all the other programming languages. It's the only things that really change are just a little bit of syntax. And so that is definitely very useful. It's just learning how to code. And then Arnold says how to Google efficiently to solve various programs, which is, yeah, this is a huge part of being a developer is Googling, Stack Overflow, and using these forums to try to find solutions to random problems that seem almost so abstract, it's even hard to Google. So that's definitely a skill in itself, for sure. So my next question is, and this is important because this is our third Code Jam, and we love doing these and changing them up a little bit as we go each time. So it's important to know what you enjoy. So what was your favorite part of the Code Jam, or what piece of it was most enjoyable to you?
So actually, for me, the most important part was that we finally work in a team with web developers, because while we're studying, we just make our projects, design, and then our teachers check them and give feedback. And it seems that 50% of work of designers lacks, because in real life, I think that I believe and I'm confident that we have to work with web developers, and it's the major experience that I had here. So that just creating design, it's not enough at all. Yeah.
No, that's a great point. I know we were very excited to have both design and developer students here. So for this project, I would say probably on the web dev side, we have the same thing where, for our projects, we're given these very strict designs that we have to follow 100% perfectly, and there's no flexibility because it is, a graded project. And so to work with actual designers and have someone to go back and forth with was absolutely a very interesting and helpful part of this program. Does anyone have anything else that they particularly enjoyed? I see in the.
It's
go ahead.
Great, like to be challenged again, like back in school or university, when you work all night and you still know, like, yeah, my brains work. It's so great. It's amazing. Yeah, and yeah, I totally agree that to work with developers is like something new and so exciting. Like, you need to explain, you need to understand what they're talking about. It's like the big part of developing, and it's amazing feelings when you see that the thing you design is developed and it works, and it's great. And I really want to say thank you, my developers, my guys, my team, that they did it, and that was great. Thank you.
Awesome. That's really sweet. And yeah, I bet that is a very rewarding feeling to see your design actually turned into a real website. So very cool. Very cool. And I see in the comments, once again, more people saying it was, yeah, really fun working with a real designer and an actual person instead of just, a PDF document. So that's really good to hear. Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, is anyone here planning on finishing their MVP and sort of turning it into an actual functional application, or going forward with it and just kind of developing it for another few weeks? I'd like to hear if any teams are planning on doing that, either just by themselves or as a team.
Yes, I am planning to finish it.
Awesome. How far I suppose how long do you think you're going to spend on finishing it?
Well, the website we made is sort of like a social media of sorts. So I do want to, after we learn about back end and setting up your own server and all that stuff, just making it into like a full-fledged, like actually usable social media where people can register and actually use it.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, there's definitely a ton of information to learn there. But it's, yeah, a very, very important process, and can absolutely be obviously very useful information to know working with backends and users and all these sorts of things. So good luck.
Thanks.
Any other teams?
Yeah, we also decided to finish our project, and I think that after 2 or 3 sprints in design course, I will continue designing, and also the girls from Lemonade team also will finish their courses in web developing, and we will continue to work together. So we will see what will happen in the end. It's really exciting.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. And yeah, take your time. You know, sometimes we have more time in our weeks, and sometimes we have crazy months. So yeah, just take your time, and a little bit at a time, and you can really get a lot accomplished. And I think, Jake, you wanted to say something as well.
Yeah, I think this project, more than any other project, I had the experience of thinking of a task and thinking, okay, one more time, I'll go to bed once I finish this task, and then spending all night working on one more thing. And so there's, you know, of 100 things I thought of, there was 4 days. And so I probably got 10 of those things done. So I have a long list next to me of ideas to continue on with the project. And I had a fun weekend after the Code Jam, kind of tinkering around with things and kind of redoing the entire app, and some new features and designs. And at this point is still definitely an MVP, but it'd be fun to kind of bring it up to a full-fledged, you know, how do we help people stay grounded during the pandemic, an actual useful tool.
Really cool. Yeah, great point. And I know I've definitely been there many times working on my own projects, where you just get into it and you see the possibilities, and you want to finish this, and oh, maybe I can do this. And yeah, it really just grows out like a tree, it feels like, and you have all these different paths and ways to go. So yeah, awesome. Really excited to see where these go. So thank you. Let's see. Next is this question. So have you watched the stream? I know a lot of us were there on the stream for the presentations. I was just wondering if anyone else was able to watch, maybe if you weren't there, or if you were watching, what did you think of it? Because I know it was pretty long and there were a lot of teams, but I was just wondering if anyone saw any other teams and was inspired or just thought it was interesting. Any feedback at all? Oh, Menashe says he would have liked to test his sound beforehand, because he did have a little bit of technical difficulties, which, yeah, we're sorry about that. Maybe it would have made sense to have, but we had so many people. It's like, how do we test, you know, what was it, like 50 or 60 microphones, you know, before the timeline. But we're sorry, Menashe, but it did work out, and we were able to hear you eventually. So and then I see Julia's asking me to ask Sasha. Sasha, do you have any comments about the stream or thoughts on it?
Are you asking me? Or
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, we're just picking people now. So if you didn't watch the stream, that's fine. Just getting feedback.
Feedback about like the general feelings, and like, I'm sorry, I just
No, it's okay. Yeah, like so last week when we showed everyone's projects, we showed your project and everyone's. How did you think that went?
Oh, great. Like everyone was so talented, like all work were so great and looked really cool. So I personally really enjoyed participating in this event. So only positive emotions from that in general.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you. And I kind of feel like I'm fishing for compliments here from everyone, but I'm not. I'm genuinely just trying to get some ideas and feedback here that we'll use when we hopefully develop the next code jam. So next general question is, did you find it easy or difficult to collaborate with the other students? I know we said we enjoyed working with designers and the designers enjoyed working with web developers. Just really simply, was it easy or difficult for you? Oh, and I also see real quick, Arnold stated for the last question that there were really great app ideas and would love to work with more designers and developers to even take it forward and make it into a startup, which is really awesome, which is great to hear. Yeah, there are definitely a lot of ideas that were really interesting and very well thought out. I was impressed. I haven't worked with, a designer as closely as a lot of you got to in the past week, but I was amazed with some of the designers and how they really thought through not only just the design of the project, but the ideas and the user experience and how the user interacts with the product. So it's really cool to see how you designers work. It's really interesting. So next I'm going to go, let's see. Okay. So we did have a lot of people comment about we're working all over the world. Some of us are on, different continents. So what was like your secret, or what was a sort of a good pointer for working with teams that are scattered so far and able to get out such good products? What would you say to other students who maybe will be participating next time? Let's see, I might call on someone who I know. Let's see.
Will, I've got something.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I think some other teams did this really well too. We siloed out our tasks pretty distinctly so that one person was working on our presentation. I was coding the project, and then our designer was working on the design for the most part. And I think some other teams mentioned this before, of really siloing out what they're working on, so that if you want to work as fast as you possibly can for the first day, you don't have much time left in the latter part of the project, you're not slowing anyone down, you're not holding anyone back. So I think splitting up tasks and kind of working as hard as you can on those is productive.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that makes very logical sense. And I know another thing is also our schedules, not only being in different time zones, but some people have different types of jobs and different commitments. So yeah, definitely working with schedules is very difficult. But and then another comment here, Natalia was saying to the previous question, working with different people, it was difficult only in their head, but interaction with the team is what was supported, and it helped the project sort of move on. So they're saying if you feel responsible, you kind of just continue to work and just continue to push the project forward. And I know, I think what they're saying is also having other people on your team. If they're working, you want to work as well, and you kind of want to both contribute to make something truly, really cool. So it's kind of like a motivational factor as well. So let's see. Oh, and another piece of advice is if you have misunderstandings, make a Zoom call, which is great. Yeah, obviously we're all here on a Zoom call now, but it can be very easy to just set up a Zoom, and it doesn't even have to take that long. I've even in my job, I have Zooms with my boss all the time, 5-10 minutes, just quick, figure something out and then move on. So great piece of advice. Next question is, was it useful to participate in the Code Jam, and why? And if it wasn't useful, obviously, why not? So I'm going to go ahead and call on someone. I know, Shraddha, do you mind answering? You did some great work for this Code Jam, and I believe in the last one as well. Some really cool projects. So.
Sorry, Will, could you please repeat it again?
Yeah, sure. Was it useful for you to participate in the Code Jam? Did you find it worthwhile?
Well, it was really useful and a great experience too. Like what I realized, and it has been conveyed before too, that it is very different when you work by yourself and like you kind of design, you code, and you do everything. But it's when you are in the setup, when you are working with others, and somebody else is also taking part of responsibility. It was a great learning for me that this is how you work as a team, and I would not get it otherwise if I'm gonna do it all by myself. That was great, and definitely team was supportive. So yeah, that I'm gonna get in hackathon or code jam. So it was great experience.
Very good. Yeah, thank you. No, I can totally relate to that. And that actually leads me into my last question here. You mentioned working on a project and with designers and sort of going through the whole process. The last question is, here we used Figma for prototyping and the designers provided that to the web developers. Some of us web developers, when we're making our own projects, we might just go in and start making the project and coding right away without actually having a design because we're obviously not designers. Did you find having a design first useful? What were some benefits of having a Figma layout when starting the project versus, maybe something where you don't have a design to start with?
I guess it's definitely useful because it's somebody else. Like, it's very different. Like we kind of work together, research on the same topic or thing that you are going to work on, but obviously somebody who is studying UX, UI, UX, they would have more insight and thing to approach with, and they are like coming up with a Figma design. So for as a developer, I felt like it was comparatively easier to approach. But then the one thing that I felt is from my side too, like because I am learning the web development program, I should be also a little aware of the UI UX side in order to totally relate to what designer is saying or like trying to communicate to me throughout the process. And I guess the same designers also would have felt like they should also be somehow getting this handshake, like what the web developers are doing at their side. It becomes easy to communicate and understand, even if like you are creating a Figma design. Yeah, so it was definitely helpful and helped us to start with the process. So we actually designed our project twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was learning experience for us, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. What you were saying, understanding the language of the designers of user experience and user interface.
Remain in our shell always, like we in our development and designers in their field. So it's very good to know a little bit of both the sides in order to make the communication and stuff's a little easier.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you. And thank you everyone who typed out answers or communicated or just, told me what you thought. We really appreciate it. Seriously, there's a lot of people who work on creating these code jams. So we will definitely take your feedback into consideration for sure. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead and announce the winners of the code jam. So for the past week, us judges have analyzed every single project. We went over all of the presentations and looked at all of the designs. There were about 100 points total that could be awarded to anyone. That includes the design, the code, the actual physical code, and the deployment of the project, and the presentation as well from last Sunday. And then, of course, there are a couple extra bonus points for adding cool features here and there, and bonus points for the audience award for their favorite MVP. So starting in third place, this is Team Camel Bears, the Camel Bears. We have Bar Amit, Alon Guigman, and Costa Slizko, and they received 79.7 points. So thank you, congratulations. Third place, the Camel Bears, okay? In second place, we have the team Good Enough Technologies. We have Simone Sherbinin, Nitsan Cohen, and Katarina Risik with 83.7 points. So a few more points up there. Very good. Awesome work. And finally, in first place. The winners of this code jam out of all 16, I believe, yeah, 16 teams are the Dev Divas, Carolina Torin, Shraddha, and Natalia Strogoya with 85 points. So congratulations to you. Congratulations. That's really good. Thank you so much for being here and participating. It was really cool. You will be receiving bags from Practicum. Let me show you real quick. These look actually pretty cool. So these little backpacks says Coder for Hire, Never Stop Learning, Practicum. So you should be receiving these in the mail. Check your mailboxes. Very excited. Does anyone from the team, Shraddha, Carolina, or Natalia, want to say something? How do you feel? How was your experience?
Hello.
Hello.
Carolina.
Carolina, go ahead.
First of all, I would like to say it was an excellent experience. I had a great team. For some of your questions earlier, my greatest fear, and I think I conquered it, was GitHub, working with it. So it was a great experience. And if any of my teammates want to say anything.
Well, I'm glad you were able to conquer your fear of GitHub. I definitely understand. It can be a pain, but very good, very awesome. Either the other contestants, I believe Shraddha or Simone, or sorry, Shraddha or Natalia would like to say anything. If not, it's okay. Your work speaks for yourself, but it's a great job.
Thank you so much. Like, I felt every project in the code jam was really good. While going through their ideas, I was surprised, like, how come you can think of such a thing and people really worked so hard on it. Yeah, like we have kind of make it as a competition and we have to choose people out, but otherwise everybody did a great job, and it was an inspiration just to go through everyone's thing. And it's definitely a great thing to see, like how we could achieve this much in a week. Because I remember there were times when I was feeling, oh God, it is a rush. I don't know whether we are going to do it or not. So yeah, it was good overall, and it was inspiring to see how others have worked in this. I would say it's congratulations to everybody who have achieved this and at least tried to do this, because it's very different to step out of your comfort zone and like try to do these things. So yeah, that's so nice.
Well, thank you, Shraddha. Very kind words, a very humble victor. So congratulations. So lastly, I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank Lou for making the cover illustrations, Stefan for proofreading and working on all the briefs, the judges, Andre, Stas, Danila, Dasha, Nina, Alyssa, and Masha, as well as also myself. But that's so many judges. Thank you for all your time. I know it took a ton of time to go through all the projects and download the code and the briefs and the Figma files. So thank you to everyone for participating in that respect. Alexander for announcing the events and social media. Andre, Danila, Alyssa, and Yulia for doing most of the work and organizing the whole code jam and writing scripts and organizing information for me as well. So to make this as easy as possible, I really appreciate it. And then of course, also to all of the contestants and participants, thank you so much. Really, this wouldn't be a code jam if there was no one to code or no one to design. So thank you so much. It was really cool. And lastly, I just have a request here. We're just going to do a group pick. If you don't mind, just for like 10 seconds, if you could just turn on your what do you call it? Your screen share or your video, just so we can do like a quick little thing for our social media and stuff. If you don't mind, that would be awesome. So cool. I see more shining faces. Everyone's looking good, looking awesome. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. go team, et cetera, et cetera. Awesome.
I
Thank
think
you
we
so
need
much.
another one. A few more
One
people
more?
joined.
I
Yes.
do see more cameras. Okay. And we have this on stream. So yeah, everyone, okay. Say cheese. Thank you. Awesome. Cheese. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome. I took a screenshot, but we also have the stream. So thank you. That is all we have for you today. Thank you, everyone. Really, really appreciate it. And congratulations to all the teams. Good work on all the projects. Good work to all the judges. Round of applause. We love our coders so much. Thank you. Everyone have a wonderful day. Awesome week. Hope to see you for the next one.